Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Just in case you're new here, I'm Mac. I'm a 26-year-old aspiring artist just trying to open an art shop and sell her stuff online. I just really want to create and share my love for things with the world, and so that's what we're doing. So today I thought I could share all of the things I have learned. If this is your first video, I'm saving you a lot of watch time, okay? Just in case you didn't know, I've been on a journey of making stickers and creating things for my art shop. However, it has been a process, okay? A very, very long, grueling process in which I was spectacularly failing at for the longest time. So, in order to help everybody out, I wanted to condense all of the things I learned into one video. All of these things that I have learned are mostly spread out through multiple videos in which I learn these things in real time. So just in case you're wondering where I got these tips from and all of these things, you can literally just go back and watch my previous videos and you'll probably see the exact moments I learned things or I showed the process and then I learned the solution off camera and now I'm showing it here. These tips aren't in any particular order. I'm kind of just going to list them and talk about them. So let's get started. First thing I want to talk about is that laminating sheets, they scratch. Just in case y'all didn't know, because I didn't know. I was using this bad boy, it comes with the Cricut or it comes with that little Cricut tool pack box thing, where you get a bunch of supplies. And I thought, I could use this to scrape laminate. It looks fine, but as soon as you take it into the sun and the lighting, you can just see all of the scratch marks on the laminate. So I did ended up buying this like little squeegee thing, and it doesn't provide any scratches on the laminate, or at least so far that I've noticed. But that's probably like one of the biggest tips that I honestly did not know, because no one tells you the laminate scratches. I've seen so many people make stickers and no one talks about the laminating scratching, okay? No one talks about it. The second thing I would like to talk about is adding bleed lines to your stuff, especially if it's something that you don't particularly want to be really, really messed up. So I had these portal bookmarks I was making and I could not get them to line up to save my life. It would not look good. I could not get it. And then I finally just decided to add my own bleed line around the bookmark. When you use the Cricut system to add a bleed line, it adds like the tiniest bleed line, and that just wasn't good enough for my bookmarks, especially since they weren't perfectly symmetrical. So I did have to go back in and add my own bleed line around it because it is full color. So even if the cut is like this much off, you can tell it's that much off. It doesn't look right. It's not good. So I just manually added my own bleed line and that solved all of my problems. So I highly recommend is if you're having issues with alignment and cutting and it's just still slightly off and you have like a little bit of white paper or whatever it may be, then to add your own bleed line, and that'll probably save you a lot of trouble. The third thing I had to learn is that sometimes the Cricut doesn't cut all the way through. And so my first solution was to turn up the pressure settings on my Cricut so that way it provides more pressure. But when I started to do that, it really started to mess up the paper. And then so I just had to learn that whenever it does that, you can either just send it back into the Cricut to cut another time, or you can go into your original design on Design Space and layer them on top of each other so that way it makes two cuts in the same place and it'll cut through all the way doing it that way instead of doing it with more pressure, because then you just mess up your paper. This tip kind of goes back into the bleed line bookmark situation, but if your design looks symmetrical, make sure it actually is symmetrical. So with my bookmark, it appears to be symmetrical, but once you actually lined up the edges and stuff, it is not symmetrical at all. So whenever it would cut, it looked funky because it wasn't symmetrical. However, if you have like an asymmetrical bookmark, but you can tell it's asymmetrical, I don't think that it would necessarily look bad if it wasn't symmetrical, because it's supposed to not be symmetrical. But make sure that if you want something to appear symmetrical or be symmetrical, make sure it actually is symmetrical. I hope that makes sense. The next tip is when you add borders around your stickers, you're probably gonna have to make them a lot bigger than you think. I don't know about y'all, but I make stickers on my iPad. So for me, when I'm creating a sticker, I'm creating it the size of my iPad. So it's kind of hard to tell what actual size the border is. So for me, the border looks humongous. Like I don't need a bigger border. And then when I go cut it out, the border is really small and gives the Cricut very little wiggle room to cut. And so if it's just a millimeter off, guess what? It's cutting into the design. And so you can solve that by making a bigger border for whatever it is you're cutting. That way you just have a little bit more wiggle room, because let me tell you one thing is that the Cricut isn't always 100% accurate or never 100% accurate. There's always going to be a slight little wiggle room of cut lines that the Cricut does. The next tip I'm going to give, guys, is another really big one, okay, is that whenever you upload designs into Cricut, okay, and you put them on the design board, it will give you false warning signs saying that your resolution is low. You'll size it down just to see what size it needs to be for the resolution to be good, and it's microscopic. As long as you know for sure you made the file in the right size and everything, I don't know why it's giving you that warning. I really don't. I don't know why it's giving you that warning. And sometimes it'll be like, I'll have like a bookmark, right? It'll be vertical and it'll be fine. As soon as I turn it sideways, it gives me the warning label. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. All I know is that it's false, and whenever I print, I don't lose any quality at all. It looks exactly like it does on my iPad. It's not blurry, it's not fuzzy, it's not nothing. So I have no clue why it gives us that warning label, to be honest, but just to let y'all know, because I didn't know that and I was freaking out because I thought that I had to go in, I had to change all of my designs on all of my files, and yeah, it was a lot for me. And save yourself some time and save yourself the Google search and reading Reddit posts and going to Facebook posts and all of that stuff. They're just false warning signs. No need to fret or trip over it. The next thing I'm going to talk about is make sure you test your cut lines on normal printer paper, some really cheap thin paper. And that's because you do not want to waste your sticker paper. You are bound to make mistakes. You're bound to realize, hey, I didn't make my border big enough, so you're gonna have to go and fix it. You're gonna notice, oh, hey, baby, this side's a little funky, like let me go fix that. Or sometimes you have a bunch of stray pixels, or sometimes the cut is just really off and it looks funky and you just really need to do some heavy editing on the design or something. I don't know. But either way, you are bound to make cutting mistakes, whether it be from the design file or you just put it wrong into the Cricut, who knows? Especially if you're doing double-sided bookmarks, it's very important to test it out on normal printer paper, because if you're using your cardstock or your sticker paper from the get-go, you're going to waste it. You're going to waste it. It's going to be scrapped. I mean, that should be common sense, just to use like some sort of tester paper, but also at the same time, I mean, I don't know, guys. Sometimes that thought doesn't cross our minds. We're just like, I'm gonna make stickers, so we go straight to the sticker paper, when, you know, that might not be the smartest decision for us. Next, we have in Cricut Design Space. Whenever you're doing a print and cut on a piece of paper, you're going to have registration marks on each of the corners. It is very important to try to get the maximum print and cut space. And since it's not a perfect square, it's kind of like this, you know, it is very important to try to upload a template or find something from somebody that has a template where you can place all your stickers in there. That way you can try to fit as many stickers on a piece of paper as possible. That way, A, you're wasting less supplies, and two, I mean, who wouldn't want to make the most stickers at one time? I mean, talk about time efficiency and cost efficient, okay? We gotta save ourselves those business supplies and time. And guys, make sure to check for stray pixels. Check for stray pixels, otherwise Cricut will cut them out. We're talking about the tiniest pixel, okay? A pixel this big, Cricut's gonna cut it out. It's gonna cut it out. And it is so annoying because sometimes when you upload it into Cricut, your image, even if you toggle it from normal to flat mode or whatever it's called, okay? And you look at it and it literally looks perfectly fine. And then you save it, and then all of a sudden when you go cut it on your Cricut, it's cutting some random crazy marks. Why is that? So I've noticed if you upload your image into Cricut and then you toggle despeckle on and then despeckle back off, it'll then show you your stray pixels. Why doesn't it show you your stray pixels from the very beginning? I don't know, okay? I can't answer that. Okay, I don't know why it doesn't show you. It should, but it doesn't. So if you ever want to see if you have any extra stray pixels, you can just go ahead, click on despeckle and despeckle it back off, and then just see what marks just show up out of nowhere that weren't there 5 seconds ago. Because they are secretly there, you just don't know about it. Cricut, they're hiding it from you. They want to cut those pixels out so freaking bad.
Okay, Editor Mac here, but I just want to explain this a little bit better. So we'll have a square, and then you'll go to the single layer on mode, and it'll turn it all like gray, kind of like this. And whenever you turn it on, it literally looks perfectly fine. Everything's clear. There's no speckles. Then you turn despeckle on, and then you turn it off, and then all of a sudden you can see all of these speckles that didn't pop up here, but you'll save it like this and it'll still cut out like this. So for me, I always have to turn the despeckle on and then off just to make sure that instead of it looking like this, it actually looks like this. Hopefully that makes sense.
This next tip is probably another big one, is that whenever you are creating bookmarks or like double-sided things that require to be printed on one side and the other side and they need to be lined up perfectly, make sure to use shapes to line them up. So for me, for my bookmarks, I used a square. I placed one bookmark exactly in the center of the square, and then I lined it up to the top, and then I put one exactly in the center of the square, and then I put one in the center and then lined it up to the bottom. That way we have a perfect top alignment, middle alignment, and bottom alignment. And then when you duplicate that square and you put it over there, then the bookmark should line up, especially when you go print it and cut it. Everything should be exactly where it needs to be, and everything should be aligned. So make sure you use that square or as many shapes as possible to make sure that everything is in the exact same place it needs to be. Because I've noticed that Cricut, whenever you put it on there, and if it's just too small of a design, it will move it up on the page. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. The Cricut does not care if you need to line up something exactly in the center. And I hate that it does that. I wish, if anything, it would print in the exact center of the page. That way you're guaranteed it's going to be in the same spot. But sometimes when you're printing, it'll automatically move it to the up left corner. And that's really annoying, especially when you're trying to line up stuff. You really have to use shapes in order to maximize that space. So what I did is I put a square inside of a template that shows you the max print and cut design. And I used that shape, and then I put the square inside of that, and then put the bookmarks inside of that. I'll show an image, I swear.
Okay, so this is what it looks like. I'll basically take a square, I'll put the bookmarks, align it at the bottom, the middle, the top, all center, and then I'll take that and group this together, and then I'll take the max cutout template and I'll center the square on that template, and then I'll group them and attach them all together. That way it looks like that. And then what I'll do is that this black square, I'll I'll get rid of it completely. And then this pink outline, I'll change it to white. That way it's not wasting any of my ink. It's just gonna cut it out. And so whenever I get rid of all of that, it's gonna look like that. And whenever I do cut it on the Cricut, it will cut out this borderline, but I rather my Cricut just do one extra cut just to make sure everything's all lined up than for it to not line up at all. And that's just so nothing shifts around on the paper. It's all perfectly lined up exactly to how it needs to be.
It's really confusing, but I promise you it works. Everything else I tried was not working. This was the best method that I could figure out for me. Hopefully, if you're having errors or having really big difficulties with lining stuff up, this will help you out a little bit. Or maybe if you have something simpler to share, then leave it down in the comments below. So the next tip we have is also very, very important, guys. Okay, this, I cannot stress this enough. Okay, make sure your systems are up to date. Okay, I'm talking about specifically your drivers. I still don't really know what a driver is, but I think it's like some sort of operating software or software systemware stuff that needs to be updated essentially. And there's just some things that just don't update automatically. You have to go and update it yourself. Okay, this isn't the app store. You can't just do automatic updates for some things, okay? So when I bought my printer, I literally just printed using my phone, using an app, and I called it a day. But when I started making stickers, I wanted to use my computer. It's just easier. The screen's bigger. I can use a mouse. It's faster. I prefer it over using Design Space on your computer is way easier, way better than using Design Space on your iPad. It's a nightmare. Anyways, that could be another tip. Use Design Space on your computer and not your iPad, because that is miserable. At least for me. Okay, it's not the most easiest, friendliest thing. Okay. Anyways, not the tip that we're talking about. So when I started making stickers, I thought hooking up my printer to my computer was the end of story, okay? And then when I went to Design Space, I went to go print things, and I try to use the system dial, right? Use the printer dialog settings, whatever it says, okay? And guys, it only gave me like 3 printing options. I could not change the quality, no. I could only choose glossy or paper. That was it. And I'm talking about my printer has like 20 different settings on there. Like I have like ultra premium glossy, ultra glossy, premium matte, ultra matte, whatever, fine art paper, velvet paper, luster paper, satin photo finish, satin photo, like luster. It has so many different settings, okay? They basically all say the same thing, but they're all different, okay? And I couldn't do nothing on the Cricut Design Space. And I was like, how do people get this to work out? So then I was like, oh, maybe it's because I need like the app on my computer. So I downloaded the app on my computer, and it was not working. I couldn't get the Cricut stuff to line up properly, and whenever it would cut, it would be off entirely, and no matter what I did. So I was like, there has to be a better solution. I did some digging and realized that whenever I got my printer, apparently when you hook up to your computer, you have to put the drivers on your computer or update your drivers for your printer so that your computer are like compatible. I mean, yeah, they linked up to each other, and so you thought they'd be compatible or something, but I guess they were communicating through the old telephone. Okay, they were communicating through an old telephone instead of using the newest iPhone to communicate or something. That's probably the best way I can put it. That's probably not actually what's going on, but that's how my brain interprets it. So make sure your drivers are updated. So once I went to Epson, I downloaded the new drivers. I downloaded the XZ file, and I hit download, and then all of a sudden I had so much I could do on my printer, printing through Design Space. I could do so many different things, and I was like, wow. Like before, I only had this many options, guys, it was literally, that caused me so many problems, so many problems. Okay, I went like a whole week of freaking out of like, I don't know how to make stickers. Like, I'm trying to make stickers and I can't, it's just not working out. The print quality is coming out bad, it's fuzzy, and I just needed to update my printer drivers with my computer. And it worked out. Okay, so update y'all's drivers. I can't stress that enough. That's probably the most important thing. Update y'all's drivers, especially if you're having complications. Make sure they're updated. Okay, you literally just go onto whatever website you have, or if you want, you can just Google how to update drivers for blah 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 product, and Google will tell you. Google will tell you. Okay, so if you didn't know, that's a thing. So now you know. So, this next one is more of a confession than a tip. And, that is, your Cricut mat. Don't be lazy and use the wrong one. Okay. You see, I was making these lovely bookmarks. Okay. I was making these really thick, nice bookmarks. They're upside down. Okay. But I was making these, and the paper that I use is from Rhode. It's a fine art paper. It's kind of got this texture, paperyness to it. And it has like this kind of, when you touch it, nothing comes off, but like you can definitely feel that it has some sort of texture to it, cloth to it, like kind of like fabric, like fabric. It's got like lint. I don't know. It's got stuff to it. Okay. Anyways, after a while of putting that paper on your Cricut mat, it starts to get that dust film on your mat. You can't see it, but your Cricut definitely becomes less sticky. So I had just cleaned my Cricut mat, and I was not about to clean it again. So what did I do? I I grabbed this fabric grip Cricut mat, okay? Because I thought that was the smartest thing I could possibly freaking do, is literally grab this. Because I was like, oh, because even with my standard grip one, the bookmarks, the paper just didn't stick fully because it was so thick. So I was like, oh, this one's brand new. She's nice and sticky. She's going to work. Okay, she's going to work. She's going to be great. Yeah, no. Whenever I went to go peel up the bookmarks off of the mat, the laminate actually stayed on the Cricut mat, and the whole bookmark just came up off. So it was like Cricut versus laminating adhesive. So let's just say the Cricut fabric sticky adhesive is a lot stronger than the adhesive on my lamination sheets. And that mat did not want to give me my bookmarks back. So guys, make sure you're using the correct mat. Don't be lazy, okay? If your mat's not sticky no more, go clean it. Go clean it. It'll be fine. Just go clean your mats, guys. Go clean them. Go clean them, okay? Okay, so now you might be thinking, well, girl, why don't you just have another mat? You see, I do have another mat, okay? This goes into our next tip. Make sure you change your pressure settings on your Cricut to, like, always, okay? Always change it, double check it. I don't even care if you're making 1,000 stickers. Check it every single time, because the cut settings I use for my bookmarks versus my sticker sheets versus my stickers versus anything I'm making, essentially, they're all different. Okay, they're all different. Even when I'm testing cut lines, the pressure settings are different. Okay, they're all different. So you might accidentally engrave your Cricut mat. Okay, and I'm one of those people. I bend my Cricut mat so that way the stuff comes off really easily. And basically, I one time had it on really heavy cardstock, and it was just normal printer paper, and it basically cut through my Cricut mat. I mean, obviously this thing's kind of thick and it's plastic, so it shouldn't cut through all the way. However, when I bent it, guys, it cracked my Cricut mat. It cracked it. And I don't really want to use that one because I don't want my blade to get stuck in the crack. I don't want to accidentally damage my goods for y'all, but I also don't want to throw her away. I don't know. I might just use her anyways, but that's why I was down to one Cricut mat, because normally I could just go back and forth between the two. That way one's cutting and then I'm putting another sheet of paper on the other Cricut mat. But yeah, she's busted. She's busted. So make sure to change your print settings so you don't have a busted Cricut mat. The next thing I want to talk about is laminating, okay? You want to laminate slow and steady. Just because you did it perfectly a couple of times does not mean that you are capable of speeding up and doing it really fast like you see it on social media, okay? Especially if you're starting out. You are not a pro. Do not laminate fast, because you will end up ruining your whole entire sticker sheet. Not only just that, you wasted lamination, okay? 2, you wasted a full sticker sheet, depending on whether or not you messed up the entire thing. But it's possible you could mess up the entire thing. That's happened to me twice, okay? Luckily, I was also fortunate enough that whenever it did happen after that, I only messed up one sticker out of the whole bunch of stickers that I was making on a piece of paper. So for instance, this one, you can see where I messed up. I got way too confident in my lamination skills, and so now that sticker is ruined, okay? Guess what? We have another sticker ruined, all because I was confident in my laminating skills and I tried to rush the process. And this one, poor thing, she's ruined. Poor thing, she is completely ruined, all because I got overly confident in my lamination skills that I do not yet possess, okay? Just because I laminated like 20 things does not make me a pro. Laminate slow and steady. It's better to be safe than sorry, because then you're just wasting supplies and you're having to waste more time redoing everything. So just take it slow and easy, guys, okay? No need to rush the process. Another tip I learned is that whenever you're using glossy laminate, your Cricut machine cannot read the registration marks, or at least on my Cricut machine. I think it might be different with other Cricut machines. I'm not too sure. But at least with mine, I have the Air 2. I have the Explorer Air 2, I believe. And so it cannot read the registration lines for the print and cut. So at first, before I would place the laminate, I would cut off where the registration marks were, and hopefully I lined it up properly. And that took a lot of time and effort to make sure it didn't put any laminate over the registration marks. I was using an X-Acto knife and it was a whole mess. It took way too long, and I just knew it wasn't realistic to do for every single sheet of stickers that I made. I don't really know where I got this from, but someone did mention that if you put tape over the registration marks, then it's able to read it, as long as it's not like the glossy tape. So I just used this really cheap, like 99-cent tape that is kind of like opaque, translucent, whatever. It says invisible tape, but it's matte finish. That's the biggest important thing, is that it's matte finish tape. So whenever I put it over the registration marks, it's completely matte, so whenever the light shines over it, it's not shining back at the sensor, and it could actually read where the registration marks are. So just in case you didn't know, you can put tape over your registration lines. No need to make sure you don't get laminate over it. No need to cut around it and make sure you cut out the laminate that covers up the registration marks. No need to do that. Don't need to use Sharpie. Don't need to do nothing else. Just use tape, place it over the lines, and you're good to go. So the last tip that I want to share is probably more of a warning than a tip, I guess. And that is just, you're probably going to have to change your pressure settings more than you think on your Cricut machine. And that's because the settings I was using to make my sticker sheets at the beginning of this process changed by the time of the end of the process. I guess over time my blade got more and more dull. So the pressure setting I used at the beginning is not the same pressure I used I'm using now. I do have to tweak it just a little bit just because at first they were cutting cleanly, and then by the time I got done making my sticker sheets, some of the stickers didn't cut all the way through, so I had to just change it just the tiniest a bit. Nothing too crazy, but just keep that in mind whenever you're making stuff, is that after you're making a bunch of different things, your blade's going to get dull, which means you're gonna have to add more pressure or have to change things, adjust things just a little bit, just because your blade does get dull. I haven't tried this yet, but I have heard or seen people use foil to resharpen their blades for the Cricuts. So I am going to try that out just to see if it actually works. But I'll definitely keep y'all posted. If it does work, I might post like a reel or a short or something about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope these tips, tricks, warnings, whatever they may be, helped y'all out. I feel like a lot of these I haven't really heard. I literally had to figure them out through trial and error. If you're very curious how all of this came about, all of these things that I learned, you can go watch them in real time in my previous videos. But this is just a condensed version all in one video. But just in case I missed something or maybe you learned something, feel free to share down in the comments what y'all have learned or other tips and tricks that help y'all. Let's all help each other out, because at the end of the day, we're all just struggling together. We're just trying to figure this out, you know? We all just want to make stickers. We all just want to be artsy, craftsy girlies, okay? But again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have an amazing, wonderful day. Bye!
Appalachian sunrise meets my